If each volume counts as 1 hour, I spent 3 of the last 30 days reading manga. Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Profitaku, and welcome back to my channel. I read some absolute bangers this month, from dark fantasy, gang beat 'em ups, harem, rom-com, slice of life, you name it, it's here in this reading log. Stay tuned. So let's start with what I read for the bulk of the month. I started and completed volumes 1 to 23 of Dorohedoro. Now, believe it or not, I've had this manga for a long time, at least a year, almost 2 years. I got this on the winter sale and I just decided, you know what, let's bite the bullet, let's read this thing. Now, I know people are curious about how I rated this manga, so let's just get it out of the way. Objectively, I have to give it a 9 out of 10. Subjectively, my own personal feelings, I give it a 10 out of 10. Now, objectively, why can I not give this a 10 out of 10? And the main reason is for the middle volumes, because there are so many different parties going around and so many different stories, and this happens for like 5 or 6 volumes where it just jumps around to a bunch of different things, and it's really hard to follow. Now, that being said, everything comes together around volume 19, volume 20, but until then, you really have to pay attention or you're not going to understand what's going on. Now, what do I like about Dorohedoro? One of the most unique and original stories I have ever read. The artwork from the very first volume to the very last volume is top tier artwork. I just cannot speak highly enough of it. The cast of characters, with the exception of the Cross Eyes, are fantastic. I love the antagonist family. The Ends family is so great. Abisu is best girl. Don't even tell me that Noi or Nikaido are your best girl. It's Abisu, okay? We're just gonna leave that right there. This is a manga series that you cannot just step away for a bit and then come back to it. You just need to go ahead and read it all in one spurt, and you're really gonna enjoy it. It's super dark, lots of body horror, grotesque type of things, which isn't really my cup of tea, but the story was just A+, and it helped me get through some of those nasty sections. So Dorohedoro, loved it, will always stay in my collection, and it's right now one of my top 10 manga of all time. So the next manga that I read that was the big bulk of my manga reading log this month was Yotsuba volumes 2 to 9. Now, is Yotsuba better than Barakamon? I'm gonna have to say no, and here's why. The thing about Yotsuba is that Yotsuba does not have a very clear, solid story. There's not necessarily an end goal. It's just seeing the world in the perspective of a 5-year-old. Where Barakamon is about, say, Honda trying to reform his life in this rural village as a calligrapher. So that being said, Barakamon does have very deep character progression with all the different characters, but Yotsuba relatively stays the same with them just doing scenarios. Yotsuba is not meant to be taken seriously at all. One of my favorite things about Yotsuba is the way that the mangaka does the paneling, the way that the punchlines hit and the face gags. It's like perfect timing with these page turns. This is not going to be a good anime adaptation, and I think that's why it doesn't have an anime adaptation, is because of the way that the mangaka structured the paneling, and I think it just hits a little bit better in the manga. Yotsuba as a character is a top 10 character for me. She's so innocent, she's so kind, she's absolutely hilarious, and I cannot get enough of her story. The last thing I'll say about Yotsuba is what I like about how these last several volumes have gone, so that's volume 6 to 9, is that the first several chapters are just them doing normal slice of lifey things at home, just like basic scenarios, and then the last 2 or 3 chapters lead into a pinnacle event, hot air balloon riding, going to the ranch, going to the zoo, doing some sort of fun activity together as a kind of a collective. and it's really, really fun to see, and it's super heartwarming and a perfect way to end a volume. So yeah, Yotsuba is definitely on the up and up. I've been loving the last few volumes, and this might be getting into my top 10. I think right now it's about a 9 out of 10 for me. And the last big chunk of a manga franchise or series that I read this month is GTO. I finished GTO the early years, so I got through Omnibus 15 volume 31, and I also started GTO 14 Days in Shonen. There are 9 volumes out in total, and I have finished through volume 6. So I've been talking about GTO the early years for several months on my channel. This is definitely one that you just can't read all at once, but it was something that I paced through. Overall, I very much enjoyed the series, but there were definitely some misses with some of the arcs. It's really kind of up and down, but overall, it's such a different perspective of GTO, especially comparing normal GTO and GTO 14 Days in Shonen. This is gang beat 'em up high schoolers horniness. That's basically what we're getting with GTO the early years. If you are interested in the GTO franchise, I don't recommend you pick up the individual volumes because these are very, very out of print, and even these vertical editions are now being out of print too. This one is now out of print, so I recommend you read the scans. You'll have a good time. Don't take this manga too seriously because I don't think it's really meant to be, but there's definitely some arcs in here that make you see Onizuka's character development that we see in GTO, and the last arc in GTO the early years is a really, really nice segue into the normal GTO series. Now, I won't go too much into GTO 14 Days in Shonen. I'll talk more about it next month when I finish the whole series. But what I will say is that this is very similar to the normal GTO series, so it's really, really nice. A lot more humorous and a lot more just funny with Onizuka as an adult. I really, really like the story, and I really like the characters. I like that in 1.5 volumes we can get a little glimpse into some of these characters' backstory and really care about them. If you don't know what this is about, this is basically about Onizuka going back to Shonen where he grew up, and he spends 2 weeks at a foster home taking care of these kids and trying to reform them to trust adults. Along the way, we also get cameos from a lot of the characters in GTO the early years, so I wouldn't recommend reading this until you've read this because it makes those cameos hit a lot harder. It's really, really cool to see. Like, it's basically like this is like a time skip of GTO the early years, which I thought was really, really cool. So I cannot wait to finish this series. I'm definitely going to talk more about it next month, but for right now, I definitely think that I'm enjoying this a lot more than GTO the early years. This has definitely been a really, really fun series. So the rest of this manga reading log are all the smaller stuff that I read throughout the month, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but there's definitely some series that I want to highlight. First up is Blood on the Tracks Volume 8. This is it. This is the big volume. If you've been kind of waiting to read Blood on the Tracks, definitely go ahead and start now. This is where like everything kind of just happens. This is better than Flowers of Evil. I said it. I'm sorry. You can fight me down in the comments, but this is better than Flowers of Evil because I do think that the character development and your investment in the characters is a lot stronger than Flowers of Evil. A new series that I tried out that Meet the Weeb family just brought me onto it, and it's Wave Listen to Me. This is the same mangaka who did Blade of the Immortal. If you don't know what this is basically about a girl who breaks up with her ex-boyfriend. She goes into a bar, she gets plastered, she tells this radio guy about her whole life story and how terrible men are and just the problems of being just in the society, and he plays all of her quotes over the air, and then basically she gets asked to see if she wants to do her own radio show. People are enamored with her. They want to hear more of her thoughts. It's really, really interesting. This is labeled as a rom-com, but there's not many rom-com elements yet. It's also been labeled as a slow burner, which I really don't mind as long as I'm enjoying the ride. This manga is pretty risque. Some of the jokes go over my head, but I do like that this is more of an adult setting, so I could definitely relate to it more. And our MC character here is written so well. So I do highly recommend this. It is on sale right now on the Kodansha weekly special. So this is a great time to pick it up and just try it. Next up is a manga that totally surprised me and something that I wasn't sure about, but then I just got this volume and I was like, wow, this is definitely a top 20 manga for me. And that's Life Lessons with Uramichi Onisan. And I had done a review on it on my channel. The second omnibus was okay, but this one just knocked it out of the park. I could not stop laughing. I love all of the side characters in here. They bring in a new side character, which is a nice change of pace. I love the interactions that Uramichi Onisan has with the children. That's like the best part of this whole manga. So if you are looking for a comedy, if you really like Grand Blue Dreaming, this is a really good one to pick up. It's really like that kind of just dumb humor. Next up is Golden Kamuy volumes 24 and 25. So I first have to say, Chapter 239 is the most unique battle sequence I have ever seen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out at your own risk. Definitely 18 plus, but it was so funny. Overall, Golden Kamuy continues to impress me, but I understand why people have dropped this series. There are some points where it kind of just keeps going around and around in a circle, and it really needs to keep progressing in the main storyline. So yeah, you can say it does get distracted, but I am enjoying it for what it is. I especially liked volume 25. 25 was absolutely great. I love this arc and where we're at in the story. I also like the Avengers team setup that just happened. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you don't, it is really cool. So if you're getting close to this, look forward to it. It's awesome. Next up is a manga. I've done a review on my channel, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Just take a look at the review if you're interested in it. This is Dragon Quest: The Adventures of Dai. These are the same mangaka duo setup that did Beat the Vandal Buster, which was serialized after Dragon Quest. There are 37 volumes out, and these are 1.5 omnibuses, so this is going to be a long haul. Definitely one that's going to take a long time to collect, and it's going to be a big financial investment. Check out my review on the channel if you're interested in the series and seeing if you want to give it a shot before you put your money down. Alright, last stack here. We have Komi Can't Communicate volumes 16 and 17. You know, I'll be honest with you, I was super close to dropping Komi. Nothing was happening. Mic drop. Komi, mic drop. This was fantastic. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was so different, so fresh. It's like this took kind of a Kaguya-sama Love is War turn with the drama, but I think this just did it in a way better way, and it balances the drama and the comedy out compared to Kaguya-sama. So yes, I love the directions it's going. I'm going to keep going with it. Is this a manga series that after I'm done reading it, I'm going to sell it off? I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to be worth a reread. It's just right on the border right now. I couldn't get over how bad those middle volumes were. Next up is volumes 12, 13, and 14 of We Never Learn. I'm hoping to finish or get up to date with this series next month. What I do really like about it is now we are moving into more, just like Komi, we're moving more into the serious aspect of this rom-com harem. Every girl is getting character development. We're seeing their goals, their ambitions kind of come to fruition. Our main MC is finally getting a goddamn personality. So that's finally refreshing. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Is this a manga that I recommend to everyone? No, because I just don't think it's anything special per se, but this is definitely a volume where I know if I pick it up, I'm really just going to have a good time with it, and I'm not going to be like stressed out or really having to focus on what's going on. Next up is Frieren Beyond Journey's End Volume 3. This finishes the first arc of the story, and my goodness, was this a great ending to the first arc. I love all the powers. I love how each character dealt with their battle in a specific way. It was super unique, super cunning, and a great volume. I highly recommend everyone check this out. Even if you're not into slice of life or fantasy, this is just great. Check out my review on my channel on volume 1. I speak high praises of the first volume, and ever since then it's only gotten better. So this is one that I will be picking up on every release day. And last but not least, we have Shaman King Omnibus 16, 17, 18. What do I think about Shaman King? It's just good old-fashioned beat 'em up fun. That's just as simple as that. As we continue to get more into the story, there's more character development, there's more revelations about the world and what's going on. So that's definitely very interesting. I guess the big problem I have with this manga is that there's just some shit that happens in here that just doesn't need to happen. There's some battle sequences that you just don't need it, and it's just a waste of time. And I think that's why this manga just kept dragging on its original release, and why people just had problems with it. So, but that being said, I can't wait to get the next volume and read it. And that is it for my manga reading log for the month of March. I can't wait for April. I am busting through my TBR backlog right now, because Right Stuff is just taking forever to send out packages, and I think everybody's on the same boat in terms of just getting their monthly releases. It's not happening anymore, but honestly it's kind of a blessing for me, so that I can get through some of these completed series, stuff like Dorohedoro. I just never thought I was going to read, because I kept getting so much manga every month. This was just a great chance for me to just read. So that's what I'm going to do next month. Expect a lot of short series that you can just read through really fast. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, tap the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye bye.